Hello, 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 everyone.
Hello.
Tire Talk. Once again, we're back. We have a lovely guest today. We already know Mento, Jazzy, and please introduce yourself, dear.
I'm Fee Liberty. Yeah, I'm the owner of Eat, Play, Live, which is a retreat company that provides retreat experiences for people who come to Jamaica.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Like vacation stuff, things to do, and things of that nature.
Yeah, I normally create experiences, but people can also contact me to curate their personal experience.
Okay.
So they can do their own research and say, I want to see this, this, and this. I want to do 10 parishes. I want to do 12 parishes. I want to go to Firewater. I want to go to see Bob Marley. They can put it together and I'll make it happen for them.
Oh, all right. So whatever they can think of, you can do.
Yeah.
Bad.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
Jazzy, what's good with you?
Peace, bro. What's happening? I miss T.
Hi.
I was we normally go ahead. The first thing we do is we ask our guests to go ahead and tell us, do they have a spiritual business? And I see that you already jumped into it and tell us, is there anything else more that you like to elaborate on it?
Well, it is a spiritual business. And the funny thing is, I did not know that it was a spiritual business until someone contacted me who wanted to support spiritual business owners. And when we drilled down on different aspects of my offering, it was determined that, oh, I have a spiritual business.
Okay.
I didn't even know it, but when people come and see me and spend time with me, it's definitely a spiritual experience.
Okay.
And in what type of way?
You do a lot of deep diving. We have a lot of open conversations. We have a lot of table talk, a lot of cross talk, in between adventures. We are very intentional about our adventures. So, like, for instance, a lot of people go and they jump off of the cliff at Rick's Cafe, but we call it the Freedom Leap. So people can design rituals around their experiences there. But what I have found is that, like, so we'll go to Sweet River and we just go to play, but now we can do a honey bath. We can support most spiritual people, no matter what type of spirituality they subscribe to, but we can create rituals and an understanding of rituals towards their own personal healing journey, because most people who come to my retreats I find are normally in the middle of some sort of major life transition. And so I'm just being in Jamaica with the sun, the fire, the water, the earth, grounding, and just the Irie vibes is healing in and of itself. But when we're intentional and we're having specific talks surrounding deep dives, things that, different prompts, then it does become a spiritual experience.
Okay.
That's,
Nice.
yeah, I can contest to that. I'm from Panama. When I was in the military, I went to Panama while I was in the military. And for the first, it was winter in New York, and we went to Panama, and it's 85 degrees, 8 o'clock in the morning. I was sick for like the first 30 days, just whatever was going on in me. But that clean air, I didn't get sick for like 4 years after. I was there for like a year and a half. That air and the water, yes, without all the man-made stuff and
the food is normally organic unless you're getting it from resorts, which one of my business motto features is that I don't do resorts. We always patronize the locals, so we use guest houses and things like that. But you are eating that organic food. You are in that natural sauna. You are in that salt water. So you're grounding. You're in that sand,
breathing it.
Yeah, you won't have a choice, even if you don't know how to tap into self, which is spirituality. It's just going to happen. I say 100% of the people who have come to my retreats have had some kind of major awakening, or several people wrote books after the experience. Others found love. So it's a portal there, I do believe. And if you know how to use your spirituality, and if you know how to connect, and if you know what to say and how to be open, then you are going to be able to manifest something amazing.
Nice.
Mhm.
Nice.
Nice.
So the next question that we ask, and this one just goes from a little question to something that's really big. And we like to ask, how did you start your journey in spirituality?
I started my journey after I left the Air Force. You know, being an Air Force veteran, having to go from my mother's home to the church, then to the Air Force, I lived a life of just being in a box. So once those boxes were released, I had to figure out who I was and where I fit in. And I had to figure out how to ask those questions to the universe or to God or to Jesus or whoever I was talking to at the time. Now I say the universe, the creator. But my mother passed away, and I decided to travel once a month during that year as travel therapy. And when I got to Jamaica, I was on a resort and I was super bored. And I was like, oh my God, this is not it. And then I met a guy from Finland, something like that. And he asked me if I knew about Bob Marley. I said, I've heard of him. He's cute. And he said, well, tonight he's having what they call a Nyabingi, where at his birth and resting place near his mausoleum. So I was like, oh, so I get to leave this resort that felt like prison? And he's like, yeah. So we took a 4-hour ride up the coast, up to his home and his resting place. And just the experience of taking the drive was more therapeutic than actually getting there. So it wasn't even the destination, it was the journey. And it was, you know, the sun, it was the moon, watching the sunset, watching the beautiful moon, listening to some beautiful reggae, sipping on some Red Stripes, and just like being free. And so when I went up there, I fell in love with Jamaica. And I told him the next day, hey, where else can we go? And he's like, well, I'm leaving tomorrow, so I can't go anywhere. And I'm like, no, I want to go somewhere. So a friend of mine, a Facebook friend that I'd never met before, reached out to me and said, hey, are you in my country? And I'm like, yeah, I'm in your country. And he's like, well, I always said if you came to my country, I would want to meet you. So I'm going to come and meet you. So came to meet me. We hit it off. And I asked him if I came back in a couple months for my birthday, would he be willing to show me real Jamaica? And he was like, sure. What do you want to see? And I'm like, I don't know. What's here? All I know about is Dunn's River Falls and Sandals and, you know, 7 Mile Beach. That's all I know. And he's like, really? I said, yeah. He sent me probably about 15 different pictures of amazing things. And I said, can we do all of those things? And he's like, how much time do you have? And I was like, well, I squeezed out 17 days. And in 17 days, I went to 15 different places. And I posted the pictures. And everyone was like, where are you? And I'm like, I'm in Jamaica. They're like, no, you're not. I've been in Jamaica like 15 times. I've never seen that. I'm like, I'm in Jamaica. So they were like, well, do you host retreats? And I'm like, no, I go to retreats. And then they were like, well, maybe you should consider hosting retreats. And the rest is pretty much history.
Wow.
So, yeah.
It's something about like when you take that one step and then, you know, while you're doing your one step, you went on your own little journey, but you said, hey, and those out of those places that you went, and then it led you to the next phase. You know,
and
that's
know
just
what?
Something.
You can always trace it back to some thought that you had about something that you wanted to do, your offering or something that you were just desiring deeply to do. And for me, it was traveling and being in the Caribbean, which I thought was out of reach for me because I'm an American. And, you know, I'm like, I don't have money to just be hanging out in the Caribbean, you know, but I found ways to be there without spending an arm and a leg. And that's what I give to my guests, is a way to come to Jamaica and you're not spending $3,000 for 4 nights in a resort. And, but yeah, you're right. You put that thing in your mind's eye and then you just let it simmer. You plant that seed. And the next thing you know, these things start happening and you don't even know that they're a part of, you know, the connection. Yeah. And then when you look back,
your self-talk.
Oh yeah, positive self-talk. But like I remember a girlfriend of mine who came to my second retreat.
But your actual spirit in you, that spirit of truth, that higher guidance comes down and just has conversations with you.
Mm-hmm.
You know
right.
The thing is, when the thing is, it's just like when you're on your journey and you take that step, and then after you make that step, then there's choices. You know, it's just
Mm.
like spirit just provides different avenues that you say, and then that's the beauty about being in spirituality is that, you know, once you go ahead and say, okay, I'm pursuing, you know, you talk to your inner spirit and then you go
Mm-hmm.
out to do something, you take
Yeah.
that step and then you're rewarded by choices,
Yeah,
you
by
know, and
choices and by listening and by being obedient and by feeling
Mhm,
that stir in your stomach that tells you, yes, just go. You think you
mhm,
can't afford it, but you need to just go. And then you make that connection that changes everything, and then you
And
make
you,
another connection and another
mhm.
connection. And the next
And
thing
you,
you know, you have a whole host of people that feel like family in a foreign country. At this
mhm,
point, I'm probably going to be living there next year. I never ever thought that that was possible. But now
mm.
my support network is so strong and people really want my offering, that it's happening. It's
and,
happening.
and,
It all
and you
started
got
with
to
the planting
remember,
of a seed.
that that piece of you that's talking to you is you. You're
Mm-hmm.
just talking to the best part of you. That's all. The highest, most strongest part of you that can't
mhm.
even exist in this realm because it's so powerful.
Yeah. And I'm
But
talking all the
you have
time now.
access.
I'm throwing
Right.
everything out there.
Right. And me and Jazzy used to say, try the spirit by the spirit.
By
And
the
when we
spirit.
say the spirit, we're talking about that voice.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm,
And
Mm-hmm.
whenever you try that voice, 100%.
Yeah. And get
100%.
yourself in alignment with
Yep.
what you want and just watch it just like fall into your path.
mhm,
And I think Rumi said something like that. I don't want to mess it up, but walk on the path and the way will appear, something like that. You just have
Mm,
to walk in it.
right.
You just have to walk, just keep
And
making
it's
steps.
always looking forward because the one thing
Hmm.
you find out is once you hit the spiritual path, the path,
Hmm. Yeah.
there is no going back.
Hmm.
There's only
Right.
forward. Everything behind you
Yeah.
disappears.
You
Yeah.
sound a little
It's
muffled. You sound a little
I
muffled, mental.
uh-oh. Hold
That's
on.
better right there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
He was getting
that is true.
excited.
Yeah, that spirit comes down on me whenever
Hmm.
I get in these chats. I like the communion of the spirit. I can feel
Oh
each
yeah.
of y'all spirits, and as we build and get
Hmm.
stronger, you know what I'm saying.
Oh, I
And
Mhm.
I
do.
mean, I talk to my spirit all the time. It lays the way before I even wake up.
Hmm.
That's what I wanted to. Hey, Jazz, remember I told you I don't dream. So
Mhm.
why was I reading something in the Dark Light Consciousness book? I can't remember the author, but it was talking about how we can dream so deeply that we go
Hmm.
into the darkness.
Mhm.
So there's really nothing to dream about
Hmm.
and wake up. And then I was like, yeah. But then they said this, but when you wake up, you feel.
He breaking up.
Uh-oh, what happened? He was
Yeah.
on a roll.
Well, when he come pop back in, yeah, that's a lot of
Oh,
the choices. Mental.
Hmm.
I'm back.
The choice. Oh, okay. Yeah, we didn't hear nothing you said because you froze
Uh-uh.
on the screen.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Look like my internet's reconnecting.
Oh,
Okay.
we
Can
can
you
hear
hear
you
me?
now.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, I didn't. You have to repeat what you was just saying about the dream when when you
Oh, I
come
was
back.
saying that I had read in Dark Light Consciousness. That's the name of the book.
Hmm.
Dark Light Consciousness. And I was reading how, remember I told you that when I sleep, I don't dream. And I was figuring, I was reading in there, it was saying like, yeah, so when you go to sleep, such a deep sleep, past the dreaming phase sleep.
Hmm.
It's past it. It's on the next level. Ain't
Hmm.
no nothing to see. It's that darkness. And I was like, yeah, but okay. And then it was like when I knew it was where I was going was when it said I
Hmm.
feel totally refreshed. Like my
Mm.
body is totally charged for whatever. And I may sleep like 5 hours.
Right.
After that, I kind of then I may daydream because I'm really not sleeping anymore. I'm just kind
Hmm.
of in and out. But I remember that and I was like, wow, because when I go to sleep, I hit the pillow, boom, I'm out. I wake up, I'm refreshed and ready to go.
It's the
Nice.
closest thing to what? The cousin?
My
Sleep?
cousin of death,
No, yeah. So
sleep
that's
is
the
the
thing
cousin
is
of death.
this
Well, when you sleep and dream and you leave the body, technically your body isn't really alive anymore because it doesn't have any consciousness. It's just a shell. Your consciousness has gone up into the next realms, other places, visiting ancestors, all types of stuff.
You know, I just literally made a post about lucid dreaming yesterday.
Yeah.
And they're saying, they being researchers are saying that lucid dreaming is real, and things that we in the spiritual community already knew, that we are soul traveling when you're lucid dreaming. You know, you're going to different places, you're on different frequencies in different realms. So it was kind of funny that they were offering it up as something new, because of course they're going to monetize it somehow next.
Right.
So, but yeah, it's
all
funny
about
that you mentioned that, because if you look at my page, you'll see it's probably, I post so much, so it's probably like number 6 or 7 on my
But
page.
you know what, that's the one thing though, like whenever we do something, and then especially when we have a guest, and then we start talking about stuff, and it's just like boom, and then the landmarks start to come into mind, and you know, your little eye is like, hey, I just posted this, you know, and that's the way spirit works. Is just like, you know, we always say when 2 and 3 come together, you know, and then it's a, you know, spirit is there
I
also.
am there also.
Yeah, I mean,
Whoever
it's
the
just,
I is, and I still want to know. That's what I always. Well, who's the I that's there with us? But
yeah,
now we all know it's that inner spirit. So when our spirits mingle, and we're what we said, the only thing better than love is that has more energy than love is what was it, Jazzy?
I thought love is the greatest.
Authenticity, being authentic. Being genuine. So when you talk about something and you love it, it's just oozing out of you because you know it's right. It's supposed to be right. It's what you've been saying. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Authenticity. And it was like that has more energy than love. And I really didn't think anything had more and more energy than love.
I don't know. I think love is the highest frequency, but I think it's a product. What you're expressing, I feel, is probably a product of love, because when you do love something, like I could talk to you about my business all day long. I have to stop myself because it's not my show. From just telling you everything.
No. You go, keep going.
I feel the same way about the spirit. I mean, I was sitting here, I work with these, I work with juveniles that get caught up in the system. I don't move to Florida. So I work with juveniles, you know, a lot of our black kids caught up in the system. So they'll get my book. I have my book at the job. So they'll read some stuff and be like, well, what about this? So I was sitting there talking to them the other day, and I was like, look, a lot of things that you're learning, it just ain't true. It's a lie. I don't know how else to tell you. You know what I'm saying? They've never been past the firmament. They never landed on the moon. What do you call anything in space? Illuminaries.
It's just
Illuminaries.
sad. It's sad how they colonize our mind, even in these, I'm a 4th grade teacher, and sometimes it sickens me the way I have to like teach the kids and what I have to leave out, and how much time I have to spend on stuff that really is not going to enrich their lives, where I need to be focused on teaching them how to read and write. But it's all a part of the program. We are training, we're training workers. We're training workers. We're not training entrepreneurs or free thinkers.
And we're training them out of the spirit.
Yeah, we need bus drivers, and you know, so that is what we're training them in public school system. Yeah,
part of the system.
So it's really sad. I talk to my children. I call them what I see them as in the future. I call, like, my favorite kid, Caleb. I call him Caleb Grant Esquire, because he's going to be an amazing lawyer, amongst other things, when he's older. And just try to put it in their minds that you don't have to be one thing or 2 things. I have 5 collegiate degrees, and I'm not doing any of those things right now, professionally or otherwise. And I'm an entrepreneur now, something I never thought possible for myself, because I was raised in a system that is training workers, training me to, you know, go work for the post office, which nothing is wrong with that. My whole family are government employees. I was in the military.
There is something wrong with that. Every lick of training that we get since we come out the womb has been against us.
Yeah,
every lick of information we're given is someone else's history.
It's against our higher self. It's against our spirituality. And
you
then
go to the hospital, how sick people's, it has nothing to do with healing anyone. It's how sick people's hospital. And give you medicine that you're gonna die on. They
Right.
get heart attacks, but they're on heart attack medicine. So what is the medicine doing? Obviously, it ain't addressing the issue. They give them
Yeah.
insulin for the diabetes, but yet they still have to get on the dialysis. So
Yeah.
obviously, it ain't working. So what are we doing? Then history, not history, his story
Mhm.
just says we're slaves. That's your biggest contribution,
Yeah.
buddy.
You're a worker. Don't think beyond being a worker.
And think
Just
of a
be that.
child, like
Mhm.
you said, in the 4th grade. Every time you open up a book, all you see is white excellence, Chinese excellence, never black excellence.
Mhm. Yeah. And just systemic things, systematic things. There's no like, oh, here's how you become a doctor, here's how you become an engineer, here's how like if you can do this and that thing. And so I tell my daughter, she is in 11th grade and ready to take her SATs, and she was nervous, and I'm like, you are not about to be nervous about this test, because this test is not going to define who you are. And you can take it over. If you want a better grade, you can go for one as many times as you want. But we are not going to take on that group stress that, oh, it's SATs, all the kids are going to be nervous. We're not doing that. You're not nervous. You're going to go give it your all, and then we're going to see where it lands, because you have supportive mom who is going to make sure you're good no matter what you're doing. But I really want you to focus more on entrepreneurship and like getting a real like world education, and not just, a high school education. So that calmed her down a bit. But just even that group stress that we say, these are the things that you guys have to stress about. Okay. Everybody's stressed about going to college. Everybody's stressed about this, stressed about that. And then the kids say, okay, so now I'm stressed. Now I'm stressed about my driver's test. Now I'm stressed about, I don't know what I'm going to do. You've only been in this world for 16 years, honey. Give yourself a little bit of time. Mom has you. So just relax and we'll just figure something out. So that calmed her down, but that is a part of how we socialize our people, is to take on these stressors. Even having the white picket fence family, you got to be married, you got to, you have to do this, you have to do that. Not telling you that you need to be, connection is a major player in marriage, but you just go looking around for someone to marry and you're not looking for connection. And then we have this 50, 60, 70% divorce rate, and no one can figure out why. And it's because we are selling a package without giving anyone any GPS or roadmap on what is really important in such a union, because it's, it's a
that
legal
would be
thing.
attack on the black woman, though. When they started doing Section 8 and welfare, yes, we'll give you this money as long as the man ain't around. They started trickling down, and now we got all these mothers out here, no fathers, sons, no fathers, baby girls, no fathers. They trying to chase a bag, like money's gonna enhance them in some way or another. We've lost the way to who we are. We've lost our minds, literally.
We don't know where to place importance on a spiritual level, because our importance comes from the package. Okay, our society says this is important. If you don't achieve this, you're less than. If you don't find a husband, you're less than. If you come from a single parent home, you're less than. If you come from a single father home, you're less than. If you're black, you're less than. All of these things defining you all the time, and you're grappling with this, and then it is re-energized when you turn on the TV, which I don't watch TV anymore, but you turn on TV, you turn on the radio, and
Tell a Lie TV,
all of these messages are reinforced through those systems. I mean, it's pretty brilliant. It's the Truman Show.
That's why it's called programming. Television program. It's actually, that's all the Matrix design.
Tell a lie vision. That's what I call it. Tell a lie vision. Tell a lie to your vision. That's what it's doing. It's lying.
Let me give you a vision. When I see my girls in the classroom doing the TikToks and shaking it, and to me dancing inappropriately for 9-year-olds, and I'm just thinking, they get to do this stuff around their parents at home, and you don't realize the over sexualization of your children and where this is leading, and how not putting a stop to this or lending understanding of what's happening.
Our music. There's no other genre in the world that you can sit there and kill each other on the track, talk about doing things to women, demoralizing them, kill. It's only rap, our genre.
Drugs.
drugs,
Drugs.
being a drug
Yeah.
seller, doing
Oh,
everything negative.
all the little girls walking around with black lips by the time they're 17 because they smoking weed, and
Yeah.
it's gross. It's just gross. We're raising what we
I
call in
will say
Jamaica
this
a bunch
though.
of waste men.
I
You
will
know.
say this, and this is something I had to grip with everybody playing their role. We all can't be spiritual. So the ones
Yeah.
they are our foot soldiers just to let us know what's going on.
Yeah.
Because our eyes are open. I can see.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Once you can, is the thing is that it's just like The Sims. Then you can see NPCs. You know what I'm saying? You can see the non-playable characters just
Non-playable
walking around.
characters.
And like you said,
Zombies.
they're
They go by
Oh,
what,
yeah.
yeah,
Jazzy?
exactly.
They go by what looks good, feels good,
feels
tastes
good,
good,
sounds
sounds
good.
good, smells good. They have
Yeah.
no inner sense of them. They
Mm-hmm.
don't even have the voice of truth that we talk about, that we're connected to, that we talk to. They don't have a voice.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. So they can do things. You'll be like, how in the hell do you sleep at night? Because they ain't got no voice reminding them what they did, how you snake someone, or how you help someone, and you may have forgotten. It comes back, hey, that was a good job you did today, bro. Helping out. You see what I'm saying? They don't even have the voice.
Yeah.
That hurts.
It's muted. It's muted. They are programmed. The programming is live with
Yeah.
them.
Mhm.
So yeah, they need to be unplugged. But yeah, so great
How do you
conversation.
unplug it? Especially the kids.
For me, I'm taking my children to Jamaica this summer, and they won't have access to TV unless they're on their iPad. But it's going to be more of an adventure for them to see what life actually feels like versus watching it on the TV.
Don't be
Because
afraid to take all the electronics for 24 hours and be like, yeah, this is what we used to do. You had so much time to develop self. But when you got all these other devices, TV, radio, watches, phones, distractions.
The only time we went outside on my street when I was younger, went inside from the house was if it was raining or if it was too cold.
Yeah.
But every day we did everything on our street.
First thing in the morning, we out on the porch looking to see who's out there.
Out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Out.
Yeah.
In fact, your parents would tell you,
get out.
Yeah. Don't
Turn
come
my
back
lights off.
in and out my house.
fan off.
Our recreation center was right around the block. And if you got kicked out of the recreation center, it's a lonely days, bro. Because no one else was around. Everyone was at the rec.
Yeah, we didn't have that. The recreation center was outside in the streets and playing hot box and playing this and that on the block. So that was us.
Yeah, we played all that. We invented games.
That's what we did. Red light, green light. We used to yell at cars when they came down our street, like, can't you see we playing?
Yeah. So all of that has been taken away. You know what I'm saying? Is that they plugging them in even earlier and earlier. You see kids that's like 3 years old that had a phone and they just know how to do. Yeah.
We helping. We don't want them not to have. Let's be real. We don't want them not to have, and they'll be an oddball if they don't have. They'll be not weird, but other kids will pick on them. You ain't got no phone. You ain't got none of this. You don't do that. What?
Not just any phone. You got to have an iPhone. I ended up giving my son my iPhone so his friends could stop baking him, as he called it. So
yeah,
they're baking me. So I got the Android and he has the iPhone. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Let me ask you this. So after you did your, voyage going through the whole Jamaica for those days and everything, what was the first thing that was on your mind when you came back? What was your thought?
I want to go back.
Emotions you're feeling.
I need to go back. I was sad. I was grieving in the airport. And I was like, I don't want to leave here. And then when I got home, I felt like, because I love Jamaica. It was feeding me.
Yeah.
It was feeding me. It was feeding my spirit. The food, I didn't eat meat. It was
feeding you something that you haven't had.
Yeah.
You touched it, tasted it, lived it. Oh, everything about you was like, I want to go back.
And so for 2 years as I went, I was with the Rastafari family. So they were strictly Ital. And I ate Ital every time I went. And every time I went, I lost weight. I was glowing. I looked like a supermodel. I'll be looking at my pictures like, is that me? Like, but when I get home, I look like a hobo, you know, and I was like, what's the difference here? But it was everything. It was the food. It was the weather. It's paradise for me, even though the people are oppressed. They still
Every
maintain
every
the
time
island
you
vibe.
shower, that's healing. Every time you in the
Mhm.
sun, that's just
Yeah.
breathing the salt
The
air.
different air.
People only
Mhm.
just breathing the air in is a different conscious air that's coming in.
My body was healing. I could feel it. I had rheumatoid arthritis and affected my ankle, and my ankle would straighten out. You know, while I was out there, I wouldn't have any pain or inflammation.
Mm.
It was just healing for me. But not only that, like the people around me were loving. And even though times were hard for them financially, or we would say that times are hard for them, they don't really feel that way. They get by.
They
But for
don't know
me,
they don't know any better.
they don't, and they're fine. You know, they make a way. They know how to get food, forage. It's a food rich country in most, you know, in most parts of the island is food rich. Kingston has some areas that is not food rich, but for the most part, you'd have to try to starve in Jamaica or be tall and not be able to
Well,
like eat
it should be
certain
the
things.
same way here. We should have fruit trees on the doggone streets too. Apple trees, you know what I'm saying? Grapes,
I do.
vineyards. We should have all that instead of this. What do they want to do? Those people, they want parks. They want to
You,
move shit out the way so they can put what they want there instead of just nature. Where
you
we
know
can
what's weird is we probably couldn't even identify a salad in the wild. We couldn't say, "Oh, grab that spinach over there, grab some of those beans,
nope.
grab this and
Pick a
that." And that
berry.
happened to me. My friend asked me what I wanted for lunch. I said salad. He went outside and picked a cucumber, tomatoes, and some spinach. And I'm like, I thought you were making me some salad. He's like, what do you think I'm doing here? I got this. And I'm looking at it like,
What is
oh, oh, I forgot.
that?
I forgot this stuff actually grows outside. Really, I mean, I know that,
How
but
did he look
I
at you? I
forgot.
know he gave you a look like, what is these American people?
Well,
You
and
know
that's how he felt. He knows that we're deprived of real human education here, but it was just a shocker to me and him because I'm getting hangry and I'm like, when are we going to get this salad? He's like, I already have everything right here. Just have to wash the tomatoes
Yeah,
and I'm just like,
chop it up.
oh, so you got the salad from the yard? And he's like, yeah. Where did you want it from? So he's looking at me like, where else do you get a salad? And I'm looking at him like, how do you get a salad out of the yard?
I will say that my
you know what?
dad,
The thing
when I was young, he had a garden. I used to go out there, get the green onions, the green peppers, onions, things that we used to grab it straight from the
Scallions.
garden.
Yes.
So I can understand a little bit. I didn't do no gardening now. I don't want anyone to think I'm a gardener. I
Yeah.
didn't do, but I remember doing it and how convenient it was, and not really recognizing that that was a thing of the past.
Yeah,
But see,
sad.
that's how being in the matrix gets you because
Mm-hmm.
agriculture is in our DNA, you know, and
Yeah.
then the whole thing is through herbs and everything, you know, those are the things that heal us, like you were saying
That's
with
the
the
medicine.
hospitals and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so if we got back to that part of ourselves, and I suggest everybody, if you have the land and the space to go ahead and plant something that, you know, for your own, have the knowledge doing it for yourself. The way things are getting now, we still as spiritual people, we don't have to really be concerned. However, it would be nice to know, have that general knowledge as our ancestors and everyone else did, that we can go ahead
Mm-hmm.
and bring that right in the
Excellent.
storefront right now.
Yeah.
So you think your
Excellent.
children are going to be ready for that? For you'll see this
I,
summer though, right?
yeah, my son has already been, and he struggled without his game for the first 3 or 4 days, but then he was okay. But my daughter, she'll be okay because she's going to do a week's worth of activities, snorkeling and with the dolphins and on the ATVs and things like that.
There
But
you go.
then we're going to
Get
go
it
to
all
the
in.
country. Then we're going to go to the country, and that's going to be the shocker for
The
her.
culture shock.
Yeah, she's going to be like, what are we doing here? That's when I'm going to take her to the rivers. That's when we're going to plant some things. That's when we're going to go to different parishes that are not the tourist places, and we're going to see real Jamaica. So I don't know how she's going to feel about it, but I know she'll never forget it. I'm hoping that it sticks because I do want to build businesses there that I pass over to her and my son. So I'm hoping for that. I have dreams of having several businesses there. And I think she'd be a good face for my businesses. My business name is Jamaican Sojourner Fee Liberty. And I see her as the bougie yachty. So
Well, you got to remember though, the spirit may have a different path for it.
that's
Whatever
why I
the spirit
say,
want to do,
yeah,
it'll
she's her,
happen.
she is her own soul, but I feel like my
You want to
travels
give the
and
tools.
yeah, who I am there resonates with her on some level. But even
Okay.
if it doesn't, I'm going to expose her to it. I want to expose her to as much as possible. She's already like a travel junkie. She loves to go, 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 and go anywhere. I hope she falls in love with Jamaica and it's able to continue the businesses that I create there. So yeah, I think she will.
All
But
you
I
got
don't I
to
don't
just
know.
impress upon her how, this is how, and if you love it, you can do the same thing.
Yeah.
Let her make her choice after that. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
I'm pretty much sure she's gonna follow in your footsteps. That's probably
Yeah.
a done deal.
I always tell her, she's her own soul. But if I don't expose them to it, it may be something that doesn't even stick right now. But as she goes through her college journey and goes through life, she may have that awakening where she says, I need to go back home. And
Well,
she might feel like Jamaica is home
it
and I
was
already know what to
definitely
do.
resonant
Mhm.
with her because of the spiritual aspect.
Yeah.
Even though she may not know what's going on when she's there, she
Mhm.
feels it like you feel it.
Yeah.
You just got names for it. You done detailed it and
Mhm.
mapped it
Yeah.
out. Oh, this is what's going on. She
Yeah.
don't know. She just know. Wow, I feel really good. What the hell is going on?
Right. And
You
she's
know,
like, my mother keeps coming here. I don't know. She has this little business. My daughter stalks my social media. So she sees me in a different light. I'm actually going to write a book that about
there
a
you
girl who
go.
stalked her mother to find out who she really was. Because that's what my
Oh, that
daughter
sounds
did
good.
over the last 2 years. That's what she's been doing. She told me that if I post something that she doesn't like or if I'm wearing something too skimpy, she's going to report me. So
Skimpy.
so she is a stalker for real. So yeah, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. I hope that it sticks. I hope that she has a path that she loves. What I want for them is just to be able to love what they're doing every day. Because that's how I feel when I'm doing my business with Eat, Play, Live. And
It starts though because you love you.
mhm,
That's where we got to start. As long as they can love themselves, everything
yeah,
else is pretty much should be easy after you have, because you're not going to let someone run over you because you love yourself too much. You're
yeah.
not going to let someone tell you what to do. Why? Because you love yourself. I ain't doing none of that. I
But I
care
want
about
them
me.
to, I want my kids to skip the part where you think you have to rely on the system to tell you where your place is in life. I want them to
I don't
be
know
able
if
to
there's
skip
any
that part.
skipping now. Well, if they skip it, then they'll never learn. Remember, most of our journey, the reason things are so hard for us nine ether beings, hair that grows to the sun,
Mhm.
the reason it's so hard for us is because we're in Sodomig. We're in the last few days. We're in the time that every spirit down here was probably a big shot in the spirit world.
Mhm.
They thought they was gonna come down here and run some stuff. Then they got down here these baby bodies. They kept
Mhm.
doing reincarnation after reincarnation to try to get back to what they lost. You see what
Mhm.
I'm saying? So we
Yeah.
got spirits here on different degrees. Some spirits actually come down here to suffer.
Yeah.
As hard as that may sound, that's their in this realm, in this time, they need, because that suffering in this lifetime is going to propel them in the next. Remember, we only go up in consciousness. We never fall
Mhm.
down. So when someone says you done got, I reincarnate back into a fly, no such thing. That's like putting a Ford engine into a lawnmower. It ain't gonna fit. The power's there. So everything is off conscious power.
Mhm.
So you always move on from when you left off. The problem is, like for myself, I feel like I've probably been down here about 52,000 years. We're on the edge of the precession of the equinox, which is a
Mhm.
52,000 year cycle.
Mhm.
2 cycles of 26,000 years.
Mm.
All right. And these cycles is the time that it takes for our planet to make one complete rotation around Pleiades, the constellation Pleiades.
Mhm.
But one rotation is like a clock, how you have to go from midnight to noon.
Mhm.
That's one rotation. Then you got to finish the day by going from noon back to midnight. So it's a double. But
Mhm.
I might be over explaining it, but it's this cycle. And right now, I think we're right at that end. This
Yeah.
shit is about to open up the spirit stuff. Spiritual gifts are being poured all the time right now. People got the umbrella.
Mhm.
Won't get wet to save their life.
Yeah. I mean, I think in the big scheme of thing, when you talk about 46 chromosomes, 23 and 23, multiply that by exponentially by whatever big number, you know, we all have been here. We all are still here. Everything is everything, you know. So I kind of follow that frame of
Yeah,
thought. Mhm.
well, because we're not the meat suit. We're not the body. If you
Mhm.
close your eyes right now, you could be anything you want to be. You can be a bear. You could be on the beach right now. You could be in the cold. You could be skiing in your mind.
I play
Right.
with my brain like that too, just to see what I can convince myself.
You need to
Sometimes, and it's
your
amazing.
mind, your brain needs to be open ended. Me and Jazzy
Mhm.
did a whole thing on the book of knowledge, the keys of Enoch, and it talked about how we have to open our minds have to be open ended. Why? Because the universe is open ended.
Mhm.
Galaxies are open ended.
Yeah.
Thoughts should be open ended, and the open ended part is allowing the spirit, the higher part of us, to come down into us and give us them downloads.
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Give us the peace. I was telling the people at where I don't want anything. Everything I've always wanted, the spirit has delivered.
Mhm.
Everything. I don't need money because money ain't gonna change what I got. I got everything I need. So what only money can do is get something better. And that's where people get it twisted.
You know,
85% of the people right now, if you have a car, a place to stay, food in the refrigerator, you are 85% better than most of the people in the world, and they don't even know it.
Mm.
Think about that.
Wow.
A
That's
house,
something.
a car, and food in the refrigerator.
Mhm.
That's it.
hey,
Yeah.
the
You're better than
designers just
85% of most of the people. My bad, Jazzy. Go ahead.
the Asian company just showed you how much material things are worth. You spend all of
Oh,
this money.
The food
I
sheet.
already knew
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I'm military, so I've been buying Korean Louis
Thank you.
Vuitton for the last 30 years.
Well,
So
when you go
I
there
learned
and you see it,
back then that like this stuff really doesn't have any value.
Any
And
value.
also that's when I started my separation from the mainstream of people because I just didn't think the stuff was cute. Like, why do I want an orange purse with little letters on there or a brown purse? I'm a colorful person. I like colors. So
Mhm.
I've always leaned, I won't say always, I had that period of, oh, I have to get the name brand stuff or whatever. But now I just want quality and usability, and I want something cute. So
I was telling the kids at work, I said, I'm gonna get you a lighter. No name, just a lighter. $4.99. One of the bics, you know, that flicks up. $4.99. Now you put a Nike sign on it. Uh-oh. $10.99. Now you put a Gucci sign on it.
stupidity.
$29.99.
Stupidity.
That's
And it's
You know
just
That's
what
the
I'm
way
saying?
it
You
is.
see where I'm going with this.
yeah,
That's
and
the
my
way it
kids are
is.
all over there. My son has got to have like the elements sweaters and all these things that they can't afford, but they got to have it, you know. So
And I
All
was
they
telling
doing
my
is
kids,
they playing with the minds.
only poor people want to advertise their money, putting chains on, gold, all golded up. Rich people, you don't never see them around here trying to walk with no gold chains. You wouldn't even know they was rich. Only poor-minded people want to be dressed in gold all the time. Because let's be real, in today's society, all you doing is putting a target on your back. Somebody looking at your drip and being like, that's going to be my drip.
That's
But
going to
they
be
know-
mine,
they-
or what an idiot. That's
They
going to be
know
mine,
that,
or
though.
what an idiot.
They know
What an
that.
idiot, right.
Yeah.
They know that, and that's part of the whole of the plan. Is that, you know what, they put little blocks of cheese out, you know, and it had, you know, and then that's what happens. People go ahead and say, you know, I gotta have it, and then they put another one somewhere else. It's Gucci factory, then it's Fendi. You know, they just put the cheese there, and then everybody's just like, I gotta have it, I gotta have it, you know. And then the whole thing is, like the agent said over across seas, they was like, $10.99, you can go ahead and have the same thing. Someone coming on. Oh, Miss
Yes,
Desi.
Desi. Is that you?
Yes.
What's up? How y'all feeling? How y'all feel?
Hi, Miss
Hi.
Desi.
Good.
Was you paying listening to some of the show? We got a guest on here today.
I saw that you guys were going to be having a guest. I did. I was not listening to any of the show. I was doing a job actually, and so I
Oh,
said I
tenfold.
was just gonna hop on. I said I just hop on when you hop on. They let the
You
spirit
right.
flow. You
Hey,
know, mine is
Just
more
listen up.
calculated.
We running down the rabbit hole as you speak.
That's all
We
Mhm.
right.
go.
um,
That's all. I like
um,
rabbit holes.
Miss Liberty,
They
you want to
they they
just
give you quantum leaps.
Yeah.
Facts, wormholes.
Miss Liberty? This is Mrs. Desi. This is one of our spiritual sisters. We have a tribe, a little
Oh,
tribe that we,
cool. Well,
and
nice to
so
meet you.
and so we shared an inside link with each one of us if they want to come on at any time.
Well, that's
And
cool.
so
Mhm.
Miss Liberty, this is Mrs. Desi, and Mrs. Desi, that's Miss Liberty.
Hi.
Oh,
And
it's
she
a
breaking
pleasure
it.
to
Hello.
meet you.
She's breaking
You
it down
too.
too, Miss Desi.
Yeah,
She's what'd you
Uh,
say?
She, she breaking it
she's
down. She
breaking it
said
down over
she don't.
here.
She had
We
the nerve to say this not her show, so she don't want to go ahead. And I'm like, you know how we do. We want you to go ahead and
She
have
don't want to
free
talk
reign to
too
say.
much.
Yeah, I
You
want
with
to,
the right crew.
'cause I normally have done probably about 4 podcasts, and
Uh-huh.
I don't know where we're going. I know generally where we're going, so I just try to make sure I tell myself, just be quiet and just go along and just see where we're
No,
No,
going.
no, it's
whatever
not
your
like that
spirit,
here.
remember, our spirits are commingling. So you're going to hear something from your spirit that says to say this.
Hmm.
Speak. That's what I'm doing. I'm
Yeah.
not really sitting here going off of what I really know. What I think about, I'm going off what I know. And for
Hmm.
me to even go into the realm of knowing, I got to let the spirit take charge.
Right. No,
That's why
the
I feel,
exterior.
that's why I feel so, it looks like I'm so energized and everything. I am, because when the spirit moves through me, it energizes me. It
Hmm.
actually makes me sweat. Real talk. I
I
mean,
want to ask you.
I've been in this for about 25 years, dear. A long
Okay.
time. When I started, I didn't even think people even cared about this stuff.
Hmm.
Miss Liberty, do you let me see how to say it. Do you go through any experiences with your children? Do they know anything about light? Do they?
Um, no, they don't. Me and my best friend, who's kind of like my little sister, both of us are spiritual. And
Mhm.
when we come together, we just talk to them about how to deal with things that they go through in life, and we talk about like how to pray and how to meditate. We more so lean on meditation and how they can manifest certain things. So yes, we do talk to them about manifesting, but we don't talk to them about anything really further than that. She probably does because she's further along in the spiritual journey than I am.
Okay.
But for me, like just trying to prepare my kids to deal with life's issues is like, who do you call on? And that was a big question for me when I left religion. Was okay, now that I have children, what do I give them to get them through? Because religion actually got me through a lot of hard times. Like religion and a lot of the songs and a lot of the scriptures, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. I still use that one. So yeah, I have not had that. That's something that I wanted to do with them this summer,
It
but
has to be.
it's it's difficult to like
We hear
get
you,
them,
baby.
huh?
Keep going.
Oh, no, it's difficult to get them to that point with being here because my son has his basketball and his gaming. My daughter, she's in high school and she's focused on getting this driver's test underway. And my kids, the way they deal with emotions, we have to work on that. So that's something that's on the menu of things that I want to work on when they go with me this summer to Jamaica.
Just remember, the spirit got a plan for them.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you go on with the spirit's plan, and they got to learn like everyone else. We tend to guard our children's a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
If your spirit and you have broken a generational curse or whatever and gotten back to who you are, you automatically save 10, 100 generations before and after. Because right
Yeah.
now, your generations are listening to this conversation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Every
no, you're
conversation, when
right.
you build in the spirit, they can hear.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone. All your peoples. So say your great great grandma that never even knew anything about this, they can now learn.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm sure my mother, like even before she passed away, and I started going away from traditional philosophies, she was, kind of side eyeing me, like, but at the same time, kind of like, okay, so
Listening,
what are we doing here?
listening.
Yeah,
Hmm.
she was listening, but it was taboo to listen to anything that was not aligned with,
Facts.
right.
You
So,
Yeah.
know, I see. 'Cause I grew up. I'm a PK.
mhm,
So I got when I started to switch over, and then finally come like publicly about it. I got more um, criticized, not from my parents, but from other people. Everybody's like, so you're supposed to be a preacher. You're supposed to do that. They're not giving me no
mhm.
say so, no choice, no nothing, just telling me I'm supposed to be this, I'm supposed to be that. I said, no, I'm not. I said, that's not my journey. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? That's not what I'm called to do. That may be
Mhm.
what my uncles and my brother and my dad, but that's not me. And then it's
Yeah.
like, that was kind of like, and that will go ahead and stop a lot of people because you start worrying about what other people think,
And
and then
that's like the slave mentality too. Like you have to think this or death could be the response to you not believing this or not doing this. And so sometimes I felt like my mother's convictions with her religion were so strong that she was afraid for me, that the
mhm,
Mm,
spirit was going to come down from the sky and strike me down to hell because she had so much fear instilled in her. You know, um,
mm.
2 generations before her, the ancestors were slaves and they taught her how to think. And so for her
As a
to
slave.
have this child that everything I say is antithetical to everything that she's ever
she
believed.
ever know, right?
Yeah. And she's kind of like, but I love my child and she's kind of making sense. But
Mhm.
no, you cannot believe something else. You can't
my,
believe something. This is
my
what we
mom
believe.
said, son, the stuff you reading, because I've been reading so many books, but my mom said, bro, that stuff gonna make you crazy, man. I don't
Hmm.
want you to go crazy. And I was like, Mom, it doesn't matter what you think, dear. With
Miss
Hmm.
love
Desi,
now. But this is how strong I was on the journey. Even this is maybe 20 years ago.
You were like, I
Maybe
want the
six.
truth.
And I wanted the truth. And I was on my path and I was getting the truth. And I was giddy, girl. I was like, yes, can't
Mhm.
nobody stop me now. And I just kept reading and reading. No one to talk
what
to. What Jazzy? What you used to tell me? I tried to talk to Jazzy back when what you used to tell me, Jazzy, back in high school?
back
What
in
you?
the '80s? Yeah, back in the '80s, he was just like saying all of this stuff. But you know how when you turn the radio station and you're trying to dial into a certain channel, and then all
Yeah.
you hear is that background. So I couldn't
Uh-huh.
hear anything. I was just like, what is this dude even
Because you're a
talking about?
PK. You're a PK. You
Just
were raised on different
it.
philosophy. It
It was
was
tough
like,
for me. It
yeah.
was tough for me at first. Miss Desi, you was raised in the church too, right?
Absolutely.
Was it difficult for you?
No.
Mm.
Please explain why.
um, it wasn't difficult for me because I have always had a family that was always very, very open. Although we were really raised in the church, I well, at least my mom and things like that, she has her rigid beliefs that she not budging on, of course, but she does understand that this is your life. You do have to live your own life. I can only take you so far. That's as much as I can do for you. And
Mm.
she knows we still have many conversations, and it's a thing of still being able to learn. It's a thing of and understanding that my indoctrination was what it was, but the ideal is not to just get rid of how I was indoctrinated, but to make it make more sense with the things that I am learning now, to
Right.
try and put it
Facts.
into perspective about how does this apply to me now. Even when we think about the Bible, even when I look at the Bible these days, it's not a thing of, oh, I have to worship this book because it's a, what can I get from this book? What is something that
Mhm.
this book can teach me? Everybody puts the Bible up on this pedestal, but here's the thing is that if you do not embody the words of the Bible, that book is nothing to you. You don't
Mhm.
worship it the way you say you worship. It's not as sacred as you say it is because you're just studying something. You're not becoming it.
Mhm.
And I feel like that's why a lot of people with Christianity, they have a hard time because they're not able to understand it in
Become it.
its fullness.
That
Yeah,
becoming what you said is the
You
key.
know,
You know what I'm saying? If you have to be, if that's something you feel is, you have to become that. That has to be your life. You know, and when you see other people, yes, I know there's grace and everything. However, some people been, you know, just to go ahead so they can sit comfortable where they say, "Hey, you're judging me or this or that," without any accountability. You know, so that's the whole thing. And then if they do, they say, "I already don't pray and ask for forgiveness." That's not the way you do that. You know what I'm saying? You really
yeah.
Why
you
not,
kind of like,
Jeremy? Why I can't
huh?
pray it away?
You
Why
know,
you can't?
Why can't I
but
just
faith, the
pray it away?
families and faith
I mean,
require
hey,
action. It's
yeah,
gonna require some
you gonna
action.
have to do so. Yeah, you gonna. That's the whole thing. Is
I'm
there's
with you.
work. It's just like with this. It's just like, you know, we live on a different set of, you know, guidelines and everything because we're free. You know, we
hmm
know truly that we are free. So the whole thing is, you know, it becomes more of what someone else is able to receive. You know, so
Fact.
now I just don't even push it. I just, you know,
What
I
I was
like
gonna
when,
tell Miss Fee, I was gonna say, if you want to help your kids along the most, you have to help them understand death. Because if you can free them from that, everything else they'll be able to conquer on their own. But
hmm
that's the number one thing that they hold over our head. You going to hell, you going to hell, you going to hell, you going to hell. The devil's gonna get you, gonna burn, you gonna burn, you gonna burn. That's the number. Once you get past that, think about it.
hmm
Not only kids, anyone that's fearing death cannot truly live.
hmm
They
you
can't
know how
truly
to,
be who they are because this fear, which like your mom had over you, she was so fearful. She was like, please don't let my baby die. I know she on some different stuff. Oh, it makes sense. Oh, you know what I'm saying? But this is all and I don't blame people like that only because that's all they know. You can't
hmm
snipe the rug out from underneath your grandma.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I had to learn that the hard way. I don't even talk to people that I know are really Christian unless I'm talking Christian.
hmm
Mhm.
I don't give them anything else.
You speaking Christian.
I'm just when I talk Muslim, I'm just talking Muslim.
You know, the movie for
Because you're
me.
gonna
Hinduism,
learn a
whatever,
lot from,
Judaism, whatever I'm talking. I always try to be direct and try, like Jazzy said, I meet them where they're at.
yeah,
hmm
yeah.
I don't try to do too much. Just meet you where you're at, give you a few challenges. Well, wait a minute. If God and Allah, which should be Alet, because Alet is the female version of Allah, but that's a different story.
hmm
The Zenduism, Buddha, if all those religions all say the same thing, be good, know how to love,
Mhm.
and your life should be fruitful.
hmm
Mhm.
That's all every last religion. But all
But
of
you
them have
look
a
for
different God. This is the key
omnipresent
though.
truth.
All of them have a different God, but they all got the same
Got the
devil.
same
What?
devil.
What?
hmm
What?
I think it's
Devil, Satan.
omnipresent truth that you're looking at. A lot of people they refuse because what does ego allow us to do? It allows us to separate ourselves from what's holy.
Mm,
This is why we sit here
hmm
and we argue politics about the right ring and the left ring. But if Americans knew anything, both
It's all
ideologies are
together.
truly needed. It's
right.
for balance. All of the books talk about balance. All of the books talk about going inward. I've read the Quran. I've read the Bible, the Metu Netter. All of these things that we're looking at, it talks about how you have to go within.
Go
If
inward.
you
Yeah.
only go in, if you go in only looking for what your religion has told you or what the world has told you, then you're gonna find it every single time.
Yeah.
If you go in with this vast ideology that anything can happen, all things can happen, then that way you free up space for you to be open, to unlearn,
hmm
to relearn, to learn something new. And
Mm,
that's why we
Facts.
can't. That's
I
why we stay
say.
stagnated. That's why
Ashe.
we're not able to level up because we sitting here looking at our perspective from when we was
hmm
12. You were 12. What are you doing? Do you
That's
hmm
trauma.
the thing of life is to grow. And they have a saying that they say like things that keep you trauma, pattern, symbols, trauma, symbols. What's the last one, guys?
Repetition.
and
Repetition.
repetition. And we've all been indoctrinated just like that. And the same way
Mhm.
that we've been indoctrinated is the same way you have to undo something. We go in
Mhm.
thinking that this is going to be something that's going to happen overnight. No, you're about to shatter your reality. Do you understand what I'm saying? Everything that you've been
Mhm.
taught,
You got to
everything
know the
that you've been
science, though.
told.
You just said it. You said people don't know. I don't know if you know, Miss Free, that the subconscious is impacted by repetition,
Mhm.
trauma, and
Mhm.
symbols. That's how
Yeah.
they get us. That's
Mhm.
how they make us think a thing.
Oh
Okay.
yeah. Yeah.
So once you know that, that's how they try to play this. So most of us have been through some type of major trauma.
Mhm.
Trauma is like a backpack full of rocks. It will get heavier as you get older if you don't deal with it.
Mhm.
Okay? So most of us don't deal with it. And the issue with trauma is this is like how God does these things, or the creator of the thing of everything, not a person, but everything does what it does. Once you get over the trauma, do you know that's new energy now for you to use? New
Oh yeah.
power, a new spiritual gift,
Mhm.
because you dealt with something that you dealt with on the inside, you and your spirit, your
Oh
higher
yeah.
being
That's why
are
people get
walking
happy when they
together.
start their ascension. People get, you can see the joy. They become joyful
Yes.
when they are released. So yeah.
You
And
know, the thing is too is that if you look at it when you're going through any major trauma, especially if you turn on the TV, they got an
Mhm.
answer for you right there. It's already
Mhm.
programmed. You know what
It's
I'm saying?
always
You turn on that
monetized.
television.
no,
Yeah,
how about
it's
this? How about they give you the symptom? Are your toes green? Are they green? If they are green, let us give you this thing right here. So they tell you what they want you to know if anything is ever wrong with it. Not green, but
Mhm.
yellow or whatever. And
Yeah,
then they
they
tell
implanted
you
got you.
information. They implant fear. They're fear
yep,
mongering.
fear
They
mongers.
Mhm.
got you. They say we got one. We got
Got
something for
one.
you.
Mhm.
We got
Then,
something
then you
for
go.
you.
Then you go on to Google. You look it up. The next thing you know, every time you're on
I got
Facebook,
you
you're getting
too.
an ad.
For
Hey,
the
if
same
you're
thing.
you're experiencing green toes, call this
Yeah,
number.
The
Consultation is only
algorithm.
$49.99.
yeah.
You
Side
can
And then
effects.
the one,
you can
Anal
speak
the,
to
bleeding,
our green toe
heart
doctors.
palpitations,
Anal bleeding. That's crazy.
that's the
migraine,
Yeah.
and then they'll give
yeah.
you
This may
something for the
cause
side effects.
yeah. Then that's the way you keep going. You keep going. You keep going. That's when you got to go ahead. Talk to your spirit. Say, hey, look, this got to stop. And
Hmm.
then those things that come to you. Hey, have you been drinking your water? Ding. Have you been eating fresh fruits and vegetables? Ding. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Things that start to come to you. And like that's what happened with me. How I started doing herbs. As just like the first thing that happens, like something going on. There's something. Instead of waiting for the television or something, you know what I did? I went research. Okay, what herbs or this, that, or whatever can help with this. And then there's a
Hmm.
whole list of everything, and so I ended up now my pantry is full of herbs, so
Hmm.
that it's
You
so
know
for
how my spirit be working, Jazzy? Just like the algorithm, not algorithm,
Algorithm.
algorithm. Thank
algorithm.
you,
Yeah,
thank you,
Algorithm.
thank you. Please don't let me go out there saying something wrong. But the algorithm, I said it wrong again. The rhythm
Algorithm.
Algorithm.
that right,
Algorithm.
algorithm that they use, I use it for my benefit. All I get is the spiritual stuff.
You gotta
Hmm.
know how
Because
to
I don't
program
post
it.
anything else. Everything I post on there is spiritual stuff, spiritual science, spiritual sayings. So then I get access to all whatever someone spiritual saying, I get it all.
Hmm.
But I
my
think Jazzy
TikTok.
touched on something really, really important. And mental, when I came in, you had it up here. And this is that we're in the age of knowing. And
Oh yeah,
knowing
I did have
equals
it.
knowledge. You understand what I'm saying? And something that we are very, very, very lazy is going out and getting the information that we need. Where
That,
we
Hmm.
are people who are so used to people handing us things like, oh, here you go, this is what that is, instead of going and getting the facts behind the facts. Now we just running out there talking about what somebody told us and we don't even know it to its full extent. So now
Hmm.
it's not that you're giving out false knowledge, but you're giving out half truths. And
Hmm.
when you give out half truths, that is how truth becomes corrupted. That is how truth becomes perverted, because now we lean too far to one side instead of doing exact. And that's why balance is very necessary. So you doing
Hmm.
your due diligence and going and doing the research and doing what you need to do so you can have the the full capacity of the knowledge that you're
Oh,
carrying.
I got a question for you, Miss Desi. Balance is necessary. We can all agree, correct? I want to
Mhm.
get each of y'all opinion on the spirit. Just hit me with it, and I'm kind of thinking, and I'm not quite sure. Is there balance right now on the earth?
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Why would
I'm
it
gonna
not
say
be?
yes.
Hey,
Everything when the system was created, if the universe is conscious, if the infinite is conscious,
absolute.
why would there be chaos? Why would it be chaotic? It follows an order. It may look like chaos to us, but that's sometimes our limited understanding. When you were
Mhm.
on my
That's
podcast and we
I
were
said.
talking about generational curses, you had stated something to the fact of, I asked you, what would you want them to not be, what's a lie that you wouldn't want people to be taught anymore? And you said, I wouldn't change anything. I'd leave it exactly like it was. Because contrary to popular belief, things are already working out the way that they should
Facts.
be working out.
Facts. I know
And
the
that's
Father's
that.
plan, and why should I interfere with a perfect plan that's doing? You absolutely right. You answered the question. You show right. Wow, that brought me back to myself. I got a little shiver. Thank you, Miss Desi, because I always tell people. I used to tell Jazzy all the time. Oh, there's a plan in effect. The Father of everything has a plan right now that's working on the earth, that's doing its job. And
Mhm.
even if I could affect that plan, have some power to do, I would not. I'll sit
Mhm.
back and I will watch the Father's plan because I want to see how the Spirit is working.
Mhm.
That's my golden thing. And that's where I'm getting at right now. I can start to see how the Spirit is working. And I'm going to tell you, the Spirit works through love.
Mhm.
Miss P, you want to say anything on it?
Um, I mean, balance. I agree with that. Balance, darkness, and light. You got to have
Mhm.
both of them. You got to have polarity so that you can even know, like what's good and what's bad. But I think, yeah, I think balance is definitely present. I think that's why you're having a good amount of pushback on certain ideas. It's because there is balance, because
Mhm.
people understand things the way they should be understanding it, and then, like I said, the polarity of it is everybody's right. So
Right. No,
mm.
that
So
you're true
that
when you say that. Expand
though,
on that if you could. Hold on, Jazzy. Expand on that. Everybody's right.
Well, it's just polarity. In a word, it's polarity. You can't have the darkness without the light. You have to have the yin and the yang. That's what makes the whole.
Fact.
So people having different ideology, and expressing that, it's just proof that polarity is strong. We got to have the yin and the yang, and it's all a part of the balance. It's all a part of the whole.
as
So
Thank you.
above, so
you
below,
can't
as
have
within, so
everyone.
without.
If we're all on the same vein of everything, then we're just zombies walking around. And
85%
then
That's
of the
it.
people are zombies,
then the
unfortunately.
human experience is pretty boring if we all are just lockstep. There's a lot of governments who want it that way, but we're not doing it. Those governments that even want it that way are dealing with people who their spirits are fighting to have it differently. No,
It's,
You're
let me
balanced,
be
what you just
heard.
talked about.
Right. So I just think that, yeah, the balance is there. I think we have more freedom to feel it now versus in
you
the
know,
past. We have more freedom to hear voices and people speaking their truth about different issues and different topics, and people, really having great information to make decisions on where they stand on really, really important issues. So I think polarity is the word that it's just ever present. You just have to have it. Polarity makes the whole. One of my favorite symbols is yin and yang. You have to have the
Mhm.
darkness, you have to have the light. A lot of great things happen in the dark. A lot of great things happen in the light.
Well, darkness comes from, the light comes from the darkness.
comes from
It's the
darkness.
same. It's a whole.
It's
It's a
not the
whole.
same. One is
Well,
one exists without the other.
okay.
Now, in our realm,
Mm-hmm.
it represents duality, polarity.
Polarity.
We're polarity. Yes, I'm sorry. Male, female. You know
Uh-huh.
what I'm saying? White, black, moon, sun,
Mm-hmm.
different opposites, because
Right.
we need that to experience in the physical realm. But we're from a realm where there is no plurality.
Polarity.
We're plural. God, I can't speak today.
Polarity.
We're
I mean,
all
I
is
I
one
believe
being.
that human existence is based
Not
on
right now.
polarity.
That's why you need a male and a female to
No,
create.
I agree. But what I'm
So-
saying is there's a part of you that isn't based off of this. So you don't have to worry about white and black. There's the essence. 93% of space is dark. It's darkness.
But darkness
We're made
doesn't mean
from-
darkness
from-
doesn't mean like it doesn't mean neutral or dead or anything. You know,
No,
that's just a
absolutely.
connotation
It has
that
consciousness.
Darkness
It has
means-
right.
consciousness.
It
Look,
has its own
lack of
consciousness.
things, but not conscious. It is conscious of itself. Because we've come, the first light came out of darkness. It's in the Bible. Let there be light. Well, how can God let there be light if he was already in light? Because he dwells in the darkness, the gaps of space. They say that light is the fastest thing can move. Nothing can move faster than light. That's foolishness. Darkness is already there. We exist. Light has a background. Without darkness, light has no background to exist. But darkness still can exist. Think about it. When babies are born, they're born in what? Darkness. When you have your thoughts and you're talking to your spirit, you're talking in what? Darkness. Don't get it twisted. You got to go
But
through
that's
the
the
light back
that's-
into yourself, and yourself
but
is
that's-
in darkness.
That's the thing what they say, like even when you like they in the church, they say go in your prayer closet. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So you're going into a dark space. But when we say, you know, our prayer closet is basically meditating from within. You know what I'm saying? So and then
Yeah.
there's so many
Theirs is literal.
similarities. Yeah,
Mhm.
you know, it's just that, you know, we once you become the one thing that I realized though out of my whole journey, and I have to go back to it again, is revisiting those spiritual laws. You know, the first, like, you know, the mind is everything.
Reciprocity.
You know, I mean, the
Mhm.
university is every. I mean, you know, the
The
universe.
mind is everything.
The mind is all. The mind is all. The universe is mental. You know,
Mhm.
so that's a big part right there. And
Yeah.
then you go into, you know, the duality. You know, you go into all of the different ones. Those once you
Opposites.
the law of opposites. So once you start to go ahead and, you know, dig into those, then you start to go ahead and dig into yourself a little more, and things make sense. You know, like when we say balance, you know, we understand that as balance from those laws, you know, and then a lot of people say, I don't want to, but I'm like, hey, these laws are in effect working, whether you believe them or not.
Oh yeah.
It's just like
Big time.
gravity. It's like you throw something up and then it comes down. You can't tell me that that's not real. So,
Yeah.
you know, then people, the most biggest thing that you'll have, especially if you go Christian, you know, Baptist, and they say, well, there's the 10 Commandments, there's laws that God, you know, but however, you know, those those laws, whether you want to go ahead, the law of gender, you know, so it's just,
That's another one.
you know, so it's just that, you know, as above,
One,
so
two.
below, you know, what's so within, so
Yeah.
without. I mean, these things happen regardless, no matter what you want to follow or believe. This is light.
Mhm.
When you
Right.
when this universe was created before we even tapped in here, and
Mhm.
everything that when we got here, the thing is that, you know what, you were born, when you were born into this dimension, to this world, the whole thing is that you were equipped with everything you can do to make it here. You know, so the whole thing is, by being programmed, they try to take that knowledge away from you. No one's
Right.
teaching you, you know, the general things of life. They teaching you, hey,
Right.
read this book on Christopher Columbus. Hey, read this
Oh,
thing.
God.
This is Noah's and the Ark. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
As no one's giving you the spiritual essence that you need. You know, and it's been said, no one can come on this place without having. And if you do, like they say, well, Annie Frank or whatever. You know what? But the spirit provided things around her.
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying? So she was still never alone. You know, and that's the thing, is that's like when you go on your new path, the one thing is just that the first thing you start to feel like, wow, I'm alone. Like, you know, you're looking around and it's like, you
yeah.
know, it's a new experience for you. However,
Right.
but you know what? Just as we all right here, we're never alone. Spirit has
Nope.
always placed somebody along on your path.
Mhm.
You can't look back in your path and say, hey, I don't remember. Even when you thought you were alone, it was someone there.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So
Oh,
that's
yeah.
the one thing is don't be afraid. Like you said, don't be afraid to try new things. And then if the spirit is with you, then what do you got to worry about?
Yeah.
Well, if the
This
kingdom is
thing that
within,
happened.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
So
what are we
when
talking about?
You better go
I
and
say,
cultivate it if that's where it stayed. That's why people
Hey,
got such a hard time developing
hey.
themselves. And here's what I want to this has something to do back with the darkness and the light. Because I wanted to talk about the primordial noon, which is the chaotic
Mhm.
waters of life essentially.
That's
And
the darkness.
this is darkness.
Mm-hmm.
And here's what happens is why light is able to be created is because of focused energy. So when
Mm-hmm.
you have the
Ooh.
ability to focus, that is how you become the light that you are. It is the ideology of awareness to become as conscious as the universe is. But you have
Mm-hmm.
to check yourself. And in order to check yourself, you have to be aware of the things that hide in the darkness. That's why they got what they call the shadow work. Where you have to go
Mm-hmm.
back and look at all the parts that you rejected of yourself. It's not
Mm-hmm.
to it's not to essentially see light and darkness as two opposed beings, but
Right.
two things that are on the same spectrum. Because
Mm-hmm.
I understand that without darkness, light would not exist, and without light, I probably wouldn't know what darkness was because
Right.
we wouldn't have a name for it. You'd just be floating
That's
around in
right.
the dark. You
Mm-hmm.
understand? So, and even when we think of how people they start indoctrinating you in the dark. Contrary to
Mm-hmm.
popular belief, a baby can hear in the womb when their ears start to develop and
Oh
everything. That's why
yeah.
they start putting the
Oh
music
yeah.
on there. So a
Mm-hmm.
baby's already learning. You thinking that it's only learning the 9 months after it gets out of the womb. No,
Mm-mm.
it was learning. It was being indoctrinated while it was inside of you.
Mm-hmm.
You can start taking, if you focus yourself, if you're more aware, this is how you cultivate more light. But it's not mean to be afraid of your darkness. I'm not trying to turn all the lights on to get rid of something. I'm turning lights on so that I can integrate, so I can clean properly, so I can know
Mm-hmm.
what it is. Is there a lesson that I missed when I was walking through something that I
Mm-hmm.
deemed so dark? Is there a gem? Did I miss something because I was so focused on something else? Because there was more trauma there. I didn't look under that rock. And it's just a forever process. You're always going to have dark days. And then it's going to be what they say, weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. And that is
Mm-hmm.
something that we truly know because it is that reset of your mentality, of you going to sleep, being able to understand that maybe I was making a bigger deal out of this than it needed to be. How can I make a more
Mm-hmm.
realistic approach to this? And
Right.
so, and I just truly believe that is we all go through the primordial noon. We all have our moments of dealing with chaotic waters, and that is what cultivates the light in us, the struggles that we
Mm-hmm.
go through sometimes. Do we have
Mm-hmm.
to go through
you know,
them? Not all the
speaking
time,
on
but it
balance,
does build character.
like we was, and that's one of my favorite things is balance too. We
Hmm.
talk about that a lot. How much it is on one side, on the other side is just as much, no matter
Mm-hmm.
what it is. If there's
Yeah.
that much pain on one side, there's that much joy on the other side. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so it's always, there's never going to be a time where even though you feel like it, you got to tap into that other side.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And that's the
Yeah.
part that we're responsible for going within. You know, like we talk a lot and we say the one thing that we do is that we go inside our mind, we close that door and open another one. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and once you know you can do that, you know, I mean, it's a new beginning all the time. It's always a new beginning. The
Well,
past
it's
is
a
in the past.
recognition. You're recognizing you're both. We're light and dark. We're good and
Right.
bad. I mean, no
Mhm.
one of us hasn't done something wrong. I mean, let's be real.
Right.
But now
Right.
that we know, I can say I don't sin. I don't even
Mhm.
think bad about people. So all that karma, all that stuff gets lifted off. It's like the weight gone. How I act, what I do, that's part of me now. I've let the
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
spirit bond with me so I can be like, oh, okay. I've walked with the spirit. I felt how it feels to walk with the spirit
Mm-hmm.
in the physical. You don't want anything, nothing, because you don't even
And that's
think
true.
about the future or the past. You're
Present.
grounded in the present, almost a spooky grounding because you can kind of hear people's thoughts. Crazy,
Mm-hmm.
like wow.
The one thing that I learned though is that you can't. I mean, once you put those glasses on, that's for you, Miss Desi. That's one of her favorite things. You'll never be able to unsee. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And then the whole thing is, why would you even want to unsee? Why would you even want to go back? You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? 'Cause at this point, it's just like I'm like, wow, there's nothing on the other side of this. You know what I'm saying?
How much
It's
energy must
nothingness.
it take to try to, after you know, to try to go back to not knowing, which is an impossibility. That don't even make sense. But how much energy must it take to go right back into church, praising
You
Jesus, or
you know
doing
what?
whatever religion you was doing before, knowing that
Yeah.
there's a better way? Not that you can't do it. It's just knowing there's a better way, but you go right
You will
because
go
it's fellowship.
crazy. You will go
Yeah,
crazy.
You would
yeah.
go
You'll go
crazy.
crazy. You'll
Or
end up going
you would be
crazy.
laughing and get kicked out of the church.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
would be me laughing.
Right.
yeah.
When they go to that nonsense, you'll be like,
Yeah,
oh
when
my
they
God.
start, shoot,
Are you guys
yeah,
kidding me?
don't even get me on that. Like,
Jonah was in the whale for how long? 3 days, right? Now you
no,
do realize science says you ain't gonna live inside a whale for 3 days. It can't happen. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
it's the dancing for me. I remember faking the Holy Ghost and like, man, so going back and like seeing the dancing. Dun, 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 dun,
What
dun, dun.
here we go.
That's the
What
music right
made you
there.
fake the Holy Ghost? I always wanted to know because I just knew people were faking. But I
Oh
wouldn't.
yeah, I fake all the time. Yeah,
You know
I
the
just
thing is,
yeah.
Hold on, Jack. No,
a
Jazzy.
lot of it.
Hold on.
Oh, you want to ask her?
Yeah, I want her to know why. I want you to
Okay.
tell me what that first time you faked it. What was it? Was it that acceptance with the rest of the people? What gave you that? You know something? I'm gonna do it.
You talking to me or Desi?
Yes. No, I was talking to you from the get go.
Oh, so yeah, for me, because I mean, it just seemed like you could elevate to a higher spirit. The people who were doing the dancing and who had the steps down were the people who were elevated in
The
religion.
steps down. There was
They
the
were the
dance.
loudest. You know, you know they get it on the beat. And you would just be like, man, I want to get the Holy Ghost like that. I want that move right there when I get my
That
Holy
move.
Ghost.
That one.
So you would practice it and you'd be like, one of these Sundays, it's
You
gonna
would
get good
practice.
for
Wait,
me.
wait, wait, wait,
Oh
wait.
yeah, I
Did you just say you was
Yes,
practicing the Holy Ghost?
yes,
yeah.
yes.
You
You
can't just go in there and bust a move.
I swear, man, I must be so ignorant when it came to church. I thought people was
I
actually
told
trying
you
to
that before.
see.
I
No,
told
but I
you.
thought you had something, maybe something
I,
touched you.
no, you know what? But see, the thing is, music is energy. So you know what I'm saying? That's the whole thing is energy is music is everything, the foundation of everything. You know what I'm saying? Sound. So the whole thing is sound and then tuned in a certain frequency. And then, like she said, everybody know how to start off. You know,
Ah,
so but no, but a lot of it is learned behavior too. I'm not saying that some
oh,
people don't
that
go
is
into
too funny.
trance and some people, I'm not saying,
Jazzy, you
may go
just
into trance.
said people practice the dance.
We did when we was
I
kids.
thought
We
it
used to
was.
go
I
home.
thought it was spontaneous, like you know.
No, this is what I'm saying.
Well,
I'm giving you the. So hold on, let me tell you. So first of
no,
all, it's
now
learned
hold on, hold on.
behavior.
I know, hold on. I know it's fake. I knew it was something wrong or fake. I just thought it was like they trying to do for attention. But at some point, I thought, well, maybe. Oh, they look like they really into it.
So wait a minute. So I'm gonna explain. Let me tell you. Okay. So
What?
first it becomes learned behavior because you wouldn't know how to do those steps or dance. When we used to come home, we used to say, "Oh, we're gonna dance like sister so and so," or "We're gonna shout like brother so and
It
so," or
started from mocking people. You would
yeah, it
mock them
starts from
first.
right, and then you would get a down pack and have your own, and then when that music started, and then one thing about it, like I said, music is vibration. So the whole thing is, don't look at it as fake, because some people go into trance. You know what I'm
Uh-huh.
saying? So you know what I'm saying? So those
No, they may
music
start off
notes,
with it playing, but actually go into a trance.
eh, or if they don't did it so much that on repetition, that's the whole thing is.
Oh,
You see what I'm saying?
yeah.
So they know how to tap right in. So I'm not saying that's their way of worship and that's the
Okay,
way they
okay,
do.
bro.
So some people do though. You got a lot of people like I was the dude. He was up there on stage and he was like, he's just like trying to pray over this guy. He was in a wheelchair. He said, "You will walk. You will walk."
And
And
he
then they
had no
pulled the thing.
legs.
He ain't had no legs. So you.
He need another miracle. He came up here for something different. He ain't come up here to
So he
walk.
had no legs at all.
No
He ain't
legs,
had
no
no
legs. He
legs.
had a
No
thing
legs.
draping down. So the guy was up there. He's like, "You will walk today. You will walk." And then they pulled the thing, and then the guy he said, "Get him out of here. Get him." So. But the whole thing is, you got some people that,
Uh,
however, the beat on opposite side, the reverse side, people that tap into that type of energy, they are able to move things just as we are too.
Yes, yes.
You see what I'm saying?
They
So
just
I
call
don't
it
want
whatever religion it is,
Kundalini,
whatever deity.
Kundalini.
Right.
Kundalini is, Holy Ghost is all, you know what I'm saying? So whichever way they want to express themselves. But there are people just like in spirituality. There are people out there that will get you. Hey, if you pay me this, I'll go and do a reading on you, or I'll do my ancestors. I gotta,
You're gonna get this
I
money in
gotta.
about 3 months.
So the biggest thing with spirituality, as soon as you go into, hey, they inbox and you talk about, hey, my spirit talked to me and told me, that I have a reading from you, and then they want you to contact them back, and then they normally want money. So you know what I'm saying? So there's good and bad in all of it. You know what I'm saying? However, my experience that I've been, going from a child to growing up to an adult through, Christianity, when I tapped into spirituality, the science made sense to me. You know what I'm saying? So it was a little bit different. I can understand. I understand how Christians think. I understand, how Muslims think. I understand, once that's the whole thing is that when you talking to them, it's not your job to go ahead. Now, if they ask you, but while they talking to you, don't go ahead and try to, because you can learn something from talking to them too. You know what I'm saying? So that's the whole thing is you don't have to go on and on. Just listen. And sometimes there's a message in what it doesn't. And that's the whole thing is, remember we said that you can learn a lot from a dummy. It's just like, that no, it's true though. You
It's
know
true.
what I'm saying? I mean, it's from somebody that made a whole bunch of mistakes or something like that. And they used to have the car commercial with the guys. They was dummies and they're driving the car, and then it smashed. And they said, you know what, buckle up. You can learn a lot from a dummy. You actually can. So don't ever think that you're so big that you know what I'm saying? Because you can learn. I can go anywhere, a synagogue,
Spirit
as long as
speaks
I
through
can
all of
understand
us.
it. Right,
It's just, are you listening?
right.
You may have missed a critical message from that person you thought they couldn't teach you nothing just because they wasn't on your level. Don't
Or
matter
you
what
was,
level it is. Spirit can
or
teach you.
you wasn't
Can I,
you wasn't open ended.
can
Facts.
I
Wasn't
ask
open
you
ended. Closed
something?
minded.
Can I ask
Go
you
ahead.
something, Miss Fee?
Uh-huh.
How did you essentially reach your like how did you have your spiritual like your spirituality heightened in a sense like you were looking for it in the church? How did you finally achieve it?
Um, I think when I joined a metaphysical school, Progressive
Mm.
Love Academy, and they studied a lot of like archetype work, a lot of laws, universal laws. And I started toying with those things and saw them come to pass, such as on my first retreat. You weren't here for the first part, but I have a retreat company now. When I did my second retreat, a lady came from my sorority, Blue Butterflies, and she reminded me. She said, "Fee, I remember sitting right next to you at the retreat when we were doing a ritual and we were writing our I am statements, and you wrote, 'I am an international retreat hostess.' This was
Mm.
2 years prior to this time."
Mm.
And I was like, "I
You
did
didn't even know
write
you
that."
did, huh?
Yeah, it's like I did write that. She says, "I was sitting right next to you when you wrote it."
See how
And I was
spirit works?
so I started really
Mm.
believing like so I was really creating because when we were doing the I can statements, I really thought it was just some or I am statements. I thought it was just some cool things we were doing at a retreat. But this school really does the work, the metaphysical work. So after that, then I started studying different parts of the brain and thought and
Mm.
how how I have been how I've been basically socialized and how why I have so much cognitive dissonance around so many things in my life, why my life was in such big conflict and disarray, and why I always felt uneasy and unbalanced and unstable. And so just learning different tenets of thought and how I could change my own mind, how I could see my own mind, how I could use my own mind in different situations, going through classes and things like that. I found the power of my own mind in things, and I still struggle from time to time. Like, do I have control over this situation? Feeling like I don't have control over certain situations. And then remembering that you do have control over the situation. You have to change the narrative. Like
Mhm.
you can't just accept that, during a breakup or whatever, things are going to be uglier. He's going to behave like this, or I'm going to behave like that. I'm going to write how it's going to work. This is I'm going to write. It's going to be great. He's going to be nice. I'm going to be nice. We're going to do this thing. We're going to be a great team. And when you start putting those manifestations in writing, and you start walking in those manifestations towards the goal of having all those things that you wrote down, and you start seeing how it changed things, and realizing that had you never thought about it differently, it would not have been different. So you essentially control the trajectory of the situation by, just using universal laws. So just starting to toy with it in that way, and then just gaining strength through that, gaining belief, gaining power, learning how to do manifestations effectively, and that's still a work in progress with me, that piece of it. But that's where it started. But my first awakening was watching a movie called The Village, and then watching The Truman Show. The Village was a sociological thriller where they had this village of people believing that there were these red monsters, and as it turned out, these people created this village. They were all survivors of domestic murders and things like that. They got together on this piece of property, started having babies, and raised a village of people, kept them confined to this village by fear. By fear that if they tried to leave, if anything red grew there, that they could not rely on outside of the community for anything. So people were dying of like colds because they couldn't get vaccinations. And then at the end, it kind of showed how the fear mongering is what caused this village to thrive the way that it did. And then watching the Truman Show with what's his name?
Jim Carrey.
Yeah, Jim Carrey. And just watching, that was the best. Just watching how he was in this life that didn't feel comfortable to him. He was in this life. He was wondering, why am I having these feelings for a woman that's not my wife? And why am I having no feelings for my wife? And why do I go the same way every day to work? Where did all this even come from? Like he was thinking like, how did I become me? Like, what? I don't like this. I don't feel like I like this, and then he started changing the trajectory of things. He started stopping, and that would throw everything off, and everybody would go scrambling. He stopped. He made a left turn because he stopped following, the patterns.
The programming.
Right. So he wanted an authentic life, and he found out that the life that he was living was not the life of his choosing, but that he was the product of a long running series on his life, and that's how it felt for me. Like all these things I think I want, I don't even want. Like, why do I don't even want these things.
We said one time, say you only have 7 days to live. How many things right now would you not give a damn about?
Yeah.
Immediately. Immediately they wouldn't even be on your radar.
Yeah, so just those thoughts, and when you start thinking that way, it leads you down different paths. But really, the metaphysical school that I'm a member of are the ones who helped me to open my brain. And
Just say the name so if other people watching, on the playback.
Yeah, it's called Psalms now, but it's Progressive Love Academy. You can still find it by Progressive Love Academy. It's run by Kenya K. Stone and Rakim Sekou, and I think they're just phenomenal as far as their teachings and the tribe that they lead. They have some very, very different views from mainstream on relating and on relationship, but it's worked for me.
The whole thing is once the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the firm things. You are open enough to be open-ended to go ahead and want to understand different and new things, and then life opens up for you, in ways that you wouldn't even imagine before. I mean, things start to change. And then see what happens is, like, one thing about Jim Carrey is that Jim Carrey, he's always dropping gems. You know what I mean? He knows. He's in the knowing. So a lot of things that he does, in a lot of his movies, and then that's why he kind of like you don't really see him because
Mhm.
they put him once they don't want to deal with your type whatever it is they kind of unless it's a big role that they really need his character for they won't mess with him. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Because the dude know what's up. He know what time it is, and that's the whole
Mhm.
thing is that when you go to classes, say the name of the school and everything again.
Progressive Love Academy, and it can be found by Psalms, PSALMS, as which is an acronym, an abbreviation.
Okay.
But Progressive Love Academy will get you there. Yeah, it's
So what happened with me, it was kind of like I was starting to go through things, and then all the noise that I hear, and then I once heard, then I'm just like, now I'm like, man, I remember Mental said that. Oh, I remember this. And then, I started to tune in. And then what happened with me, Spirit, I was talking to him already, then, but he
Mhm.
just kept dropping, dropping, dropping. And then Spirit was just like, hey, you know what? Why don't you go and just go ahead and you be up under him. Tell him you need a teacher. So I
Mhm.
went and then I was like, yo, bro, I said, Spirit's doing this weird thing, telling me that I need to come to you and, get some information from you, sit up under you, this, that. And he was,
Mhm.
man, you don't need me. I said, you know what? I said, listen, I hear it, and then we just started talking every day, every
Mhm.
day. And then, I mean, I used to have like a 45-minute car drive. We talked every day, every day.
Mhm.
And then I said, bro, because I would watch videos from other spiritual teachers. You notice that one thing, sidebar, it's not that many of them like it was before. A lot of
Mhm.
people aren't talking unless you go get on their it's not their YouTube, but it's called Patreon. You actually got to go look and search for knowledge now. It's a little bit different than what it was because the
Mhm.
general stuff that they saying is on YouTube now has been so you can't say this, you can't say that, and then if you say certain things, they'll flag your channel. So now you got to join the Patreon. And if you don't know about these people, you really got to do research. But the one thing about it, once you're ready, the student is ready. Teacher will appear. So as I was saying, I started talking to him. We start talking every day, and I was like, "Yo, bro," I said, "These are so freaking good." It made me
We
like
did
late
have
when I.
some great, some reflecting, some shadow work. We had I didn't even know it was in me. I used to tell him, I'd be like, bro, goddamn, I'm learning about myself because I didn't know.
So
And my spirit was telling me, like, when he first asked me, I said, man, you don't need, if your spirit is talking to you, because I know how it works. When your spirit is talking to you, oh, you already on the path. But he was like, nah, bro, I'm trying to skip some levels.
Mhm. Yeah,
I want that because
trying to
he knew
skip a
where I was
grade.
at. Yeah, he knew it,
Mhm.
and I fed him a few jewels. Next thing you know, this dude. I mean, from where he came from where he's at right now, in just a few years, is miraculous.
Mhm.
Miraculous.
so my
Help
thing.
me get better. Go ahead, Jazzy.
So the thing was, so after I started doing, and then I was like, these conversations are so intense. I said, you know what, bro, we got to share this. So I have, this was before we even had anything about recording. So I had two phones. So I would
Mhm.
actually go ahead and record on one while I was driving, the conversation. And then I had so many, we did like 60, 70, probably 100 on just another phone. And then I was like, bro, you know what? We got to start sharing this. Then what we did, we started
I
calling
don't
people
think you
and
understand the intensity. Now I kind of get it. We talk 5 days a week for 40 minutes every single day. And when we
yeah,
end, it was just getting good.
yeah. And then I had to sneak in my job at the time and then go in real quick, put my stuff down and turn the phone. I'm like, I'm still here. I was on Miss Desi show a couple of times. I was like, I'm still here. I'm just getting ready. I just got to get in my area and then I still be on the phone. So what happened, like, I didn't even know why 8 years ago when I started that job overnight, what was my whole, because I was just like, I was just willing to do overnights, and then
Mhm.
I knew that they was paying because I had lost my job at the job where I'm back at now. They said they called me back in 6 months or whatever, but somebody was like, yo, they paying this out here. It's a little bit of drive. I said, but you can pick your money, this, that, or whatever. So I took the job. I really didn't know. You know what I'm saying? But Mental always said, he said, you know what? You're getting two checks. You're getting a spiritual check and you're getting a physical earning check. So the whole time I was at work, I was listening to podcasts. I was
Mhm.
listening to books. You know what I'm
Getting
saying?
it.
I was calling my brother this,
You
that,
were
or
in
whatever.
school.
So I,
You took yourself to school.
so so what happened? So on the way going there, I was like, dude, I'm gonna call somebody. They got to hear this. So we just started calling people, putting them on the
Right, the
phone with us.
three-way. I forgot about that.
Yeah, we was on the three-way, and I was recording a three-way conversation. I was like, "Yo, bro, I got somebody," and I always had somebody. It was always somebody, you know. So, and then like he's like, "Bro, I'm gonna just go ahead and get the podcast stuff, and we can go ahead and do it live on Facebook and transfer. You know, it's on YouTube at the same time."
Yeah, it
So
was
that's
getting
what happened.
ridiculous.
And we slowed down a little bit, but I'm trying to, not trying. I am back into where I want to get somebody on at least once a week, and so we can unite and bond and love and talk about different things, and we can all grow from one another. So that's the whole purpose. It ain't like we trying to get no money from this. You know what I'm saying? All we want people to do is like, share,
Not yet.
and
Because
subscribe.
my book is dropping, and I'm putting all my podcasts on there. I'm putting my poetry. I'm putting my bad, Miss Fee. Overstanding Darkness. Go cop it at authorhouse.com. You can Google it. It'll pop up anywhere. But Overstanding Darkness, that's my book. My first book I wrote. It's about 9-ether. I kind of break down being Black and why we are what we are. It'd probably be a great book for your kids.
Okay.
Because it's one of those books where I'm letting.
Self-published?
Yes, it's already published. Yes. You can,
No, I said, are you self-published?
yes, I self-published through Author House.
Okay.
And now I'm self-publishing again through a different company. But it's called Cosmic Awareness. In fact, it's done. The book is done. We're about to go into publishing. I mean, the actual printing and publishing and getting it out there phase. Cosmic Awareness, Overstanding Darkness 2, my first book, Overstanding Darkness. No other person has any type of name close to it. So once you pop it up, you'll see immediately. You'll see a guy with blowing out a sun. And off the sun will come the different planets. It's just a quick breaking of an image of the beginning.
Okay.
But Cosmic Awareness is coming out. My next book, Packed. It has a lot to do. I took a lot of stuff from the Book of Knowledge, from the Metu Netter, from the Holy Tablets, all these sacred books that I know probably most of y'all don't even know what I'm talking about. But trust me, put it in there, broke it down so that you can understand where we're at now and where we're going in the future. Okay? Where you're going to leave off right here, you're going to start off somewhere else in the house of many mansions. All right. There's a 7,777,777,777 galaxies in one universe. Okay. There's multiple universes now. Then you have 777,777,777 solar systems in one galaxy. I'm just saying, this is how huge the house of many mansions is. Open up your mind to our limited, because our mind is very limited to finite. We like to think can close. Ain't no ceiling. In my book, I'm showing you there is no ceiling. So if anything you're learning and there's a ceiling, there's a person you stop at, an entity, shoot that crap away. There's no ceiling to anything. It's a continual journey upward. So when you leave here, you're just moving upward to the next life station, and you can choose it. It depends on how you use your love and light right here, right now.
Okay. Gotcha.
Does it make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, but we've been taught, oh, you die, you go to heaven and hell. There is no heaven and hell. Those are places, situations. You put yourself, if you right now, you down here murdering people, you in hell. If you getting beat up, raped, you in hell. But if you down here thinking that you got all the money, even the rich people on the outside look good, but still their families are fucked up. Their kids fucked up. They messed up.
Big time.
They have no morals. They don't have this. So it looks like because they have money or they're rich, like they just living. It's not the case. Peace comes from within. It doesn't come from out here. Love comes from within. It doesn't come from out here. loyalty, respect, forgiveness, all those higher emotions that we got to learn comes from within.
Will
Greed,
Smith said it. He
selfishness,
said it
and
himself.
we're born with those. We come out the womb with that.
Mhm.
You ain't got to teach nobody how to be greedy.
Will Smith, he talked about that in one of his little videos. He was showing how he's saying that you could buy anything, he go anywhere, you know, he have it all. And to him, he has it all, but he's like he still has a dark space. He don't have no love. You know what I'm saying? He don't have that.
He was
He
able
don't
to
have-
buy anything he wanted to the point where he didn't want to buy nothing else.
Mhm.
So that makes your money what?
Feel
Worthless.
worthless.
Worthless. All that you done fought for to make all that money to build up your status. Now your money can't buy nothing you want.
I mean, look at Robin Williams. How
Yeah.
could he be depressed? You know, you would think
How
that he
can
could
you
buy
be
happiness.
with a therapist for 13 or what was it, 10 to 13 years and you still kill yourself? What
Mhm.
type of therapy was he getting? Or was he even getting therapy?
Right. Like, and
I
how
tell
are you
everybody to get
how are you
this.
still so miserable?
Right.
Mhm.
Come on.
I tell people now, like even like with therapy, try to find a holistic one. You know what
Uh-huh.
I'm saying? If that's your choice, still try to find a holistic therapist because you're going to go ahead and get some book smart person that's 25, 26 years old, and they're way younger than you. I'm like, you know what I'm saying?
They
can
don't
give
have
you
any life
concepts.
experience. They don't have any
Right.
experience. They
There's
just have
no
book knowledge.
medical education in Western America. None.
Mhm.
They don't
Mhm.
teach you anything to save anyone. Well, let me
Mhm.
not say that. They start from a point of sickness. So if you
Mhm.
come in with an illness or a sickness, they can work. But what if I come in healthy and I just wanted to improve my health? They don't even know what to do with you.
Nope. They're like,
Why are you
Yeah.
here? You're in the wrong place, okay? Where the holistic medicine, like Jazzy was saying, that means we're going to take in your diet. We're going to see what you're putting in. We're going to check your poop to see what's coming out. We're going to
Mhm.
make sure we cleanse your blood, maybe do
Yeah.
a watermelon fast. All right.
Mhm.
We're gonna make sure we get the ginger and the sea moss in you so that we can
Mhm.
cleanse all your organs out. See, but no one does that because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make you healthy.
Mhm.
You don't need any medicines. What they're gonna do is give you a medicine for each thing they think is wrong.
Oh yeah.
High blood pressure,
Definitely.
one medicine.
Three
Sugar,
medicines for high.
two medicines.
Sometimes for
Sometimes
high
three.
blood
Yeah,
pressure is
yeah.
3 for
Mhm.
one
Headaches, we
incident.
gonna give you this something else too. We gonna numb that too for you. What else? Stomach pain,
Yeah.
we got you.
Mhm.
You'll be on so many meds, giving the system so much money. Now, don't get it twisted. The medical system will kill anyone, and they've already done it if you try to stop what they got going on.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So if you want to heal people, all my spiritual people out there, just do it on the quiet. Don't worry about no recognition for nothing. Tell people to shut up, take that spiritual blessing and keep it moving. Don't say nothing. Okay,
Mhm.
you got blessed, let it go. But how many of us are like that? They want the
Mhm.
credit.
That's what like Dr. Sadie. You know, it's
Dr.
prime
Sebi,
example.
they had another Indian woman they killed. They had another black dude that said he could heal stuff. I mean, come on, man. The pattern's already there. Be
Yeah.
humble about it.
Because it's capitalism. It's something to
Capitalism.
keep you oppressed. It's something that I can keep gaining from you.
Out of
When I let
control.
you outside of this cycle.
Right.
When
Just
it's
in
a
this,
trillion
just in
dollar
this
industry.
matrix alone is pulling you every single way. Now with social media, because I was just thinking, I was like, wow, you know what? Social media, yeah, it can be used in the right way. It can be good. However, it's got a lot of people. I mean, when you're on the toilet, you're sitting in the car before you go to work, on your breaks,
I
on your
think
lunch.
Trump did it, Jazz, when he just came in on social media and just fucking lied. Just straight lie. Didn't even care about the truth. Didn't care what it looked like, what color it was. Just straight lied about everything. And some people bought it and was like, hold on, they're buying this? And then they learned from that lesson and said, oh man, we can give these people anything.
Mhm.
Anything they're gonna buy.
But you know what the whole thing is? Like, I don't want to go into politics really, but like when
My
people say,
bad for all you Trump fans. I'm non-politic.
no.
I don't care who wins. In fact, I don't even vote, so I don't care one way or another. But go ahead.
I do want to say though, it's not this man's. He's being subjected to a whole bunch of. You know what I'm saying? He's
He's
the
playing his
puppet.
part.
Yeah, they
Like
got him.
everybody
You know
else.
what I'm
I ain't
saying?
mad at
Somebody
him.
that's going to do exactly what they say, no matter whoever you voted for, he was going to win
No president
regardless.
has ever helped or hurt me personally.
Me
None.
either. Me
So
either.
I don't care what they do. I
So,
can live
but
in any society. You can drop me off over in a place where I don't even speak the language. In a month or two, I'm chilling. Okay. That's where my spirit is. Okay. I'm over all this human stuff. I got it down.
Mhm.
I'm
it's
good.
about like how Brother Panic said is like humanity getting so far away from humanity, but not sensitive to the finer things, like if a
Flights,
little
yeah,
old
to
lady
people
that
in
tried to
pain.
cross the
Yeah.
street, you know what I'm saying? You still have compassion, but the humanity part, you just have to detach yourself, and that's the way you start to grow more,
I'm in a
Mhm.
world
but
and
not
not
of it.
of it. And the
Mhm.
more I talk and let the spirit in, the more I recognize the world I'm not of. I'm not of hate. I'm not of envy, jealousy, cash, jewels, gold, tattoos. None of I ain't got none of I've never had it.
You can't
Never
be
wanted
bought.
it. If a person couldn't see me for who I am, I'm good. That's not a person I need around because they think I need gold. In fact, I even go as far as to say, for you ladies out there, if a man is dressed and dripped in gold and all that, he's overcompensating for what he doesn't have on the inside.
Mhm. Yeah.
One chain, one pinky ring, yeah, a little bit. When they over drip, he compensating for what he ain't got on the inside. Trust me. Because when
Good
you
point.
know how valuable your thoughts are and the type of person you are, everywhere I go, I bring healing.
Mhm.
Everywhere.
Let's see. We don't want to hold up all of your time.
Oh, snap. My bad. It is like 152 hours. Like I said, I keep going. You said we used to talker. I told you we are too now.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me on the show. That was fun.
Any last
Thank
words?
you
You
for
go ahead and
coming.
tell us your because we'll keep going. You know, we talk it forever. So we try to keep it down to 30
You
minutes
know,
to an hour,
give
but we
us
never write.
your parting words for all the people out there.
And yeah, and where
Oh,
we can find your retreat services and everything.
Yes,
okay, yeah.
definitely.
So you can find my retreat services on my Facebook page. You could connect with me there. Jamaican Sojourner Fee Liberty is for my business Eat Play Live. But you can
Say it
also
again.
connect
Say it
uh,
again slowly.
Jamaican Sojourner Fee Liberty.
There we go.
And then my primary page is Fee Liberty. Either one of them, you can connect with me via Messenger, and then we can go from there, set up a connection call. Um, but yeah, my parting words is just, stay on course, listen to your inner wisdom when it comes to making decisions about your life, and just keep following your path, following your own personal path to enlightenment. Leave no rock unturned towards your sovereignty, towards your spiritual sovereignty.
Okay, Miss
Okay, I love
Desi,
it. I love
Mhm.
it.
Yeah.
Miss Desi,
Yes, sir.
go ahead, give us something, and give us where we can find you.
Oh, well, you can find me and my podcast, The Immersive Experience, on YouTube is The Immersive Experience, a podcast. Also on Facebook is The Immersive Experience, a podcast as well. And if you're looking for my personal page, it's right there on the bottom, Desi Lou. That's how you can find me. We don't do anything but talk about self development. We ask the tough questions because we want to see what you're allowing to keep you stuck in a place where you're not trying to be, oh, look at the tree of life. And I love that. And
You
if
have to
you,
go on her show,
and
Miss Liberty.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
I'd
Yeah.
love to have you for sure.
Yeah.
I'll definitely follow you and then I'll shoot you an email.
Okay. Sounds good.
For sure. And then my parting words would just be, remember to do the research. Don't let people hand you knowledge. Don't let people hand you your knowing and not do the
Due
research that it
diligence.
takes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And thanks for having me, guys.
I just want to say your voice is so calming and soothing.
It is.
Did you feel that? I just felt it just now. She was talking. I was like, damn, girl, keep saying it. What you, I don't care what you saying. Just talking.
Yeah, it's soothing.
It's
So
not
Sorry,
I,
always
Desi. I
like
don't know
this.
where that
It
came
get
from. I
real
just wanted
rowdy
to acknowledge it.
sometimes.
What'd you say, dear?
I said it get real rowdy sometimes. It's not
I,
always this.
well,
oh,
well,
we
what I'm
know.
saying is, I
I
think
know.
that's one of your
You get
powers, dear.
ratchet.
You know what I'm saying? That's one of your energies. If you ever whisper right, you can get some things done. I'm just saying for the record.
Absolutely. Okay.
Spiritual gifts come in all types and sizes.
I'll take that. I received that.
Tenfold.
I want to say thank you. This has been beautiful. Thank you for coming on, Miss Desi, our sister, spiritual sister. Thank you for joining in.
Fact.
Like, share, um, any way you can get this out to anybody that you may know. I think this was a very positive message. And I would like to go ahead and say one of the key things, if you been listening, it was about balance. Try to get into those spiritual laws. You can Google them, spiritual laws. That it's a life changer. And I'm glad to have the time to talk to my brother and my two sisters. And Mental, you go ahead and give the closing words.
People, thank you. Number one, ladies, couldn't ask for anything more. You can feel when our spirits get together and everyone is just so and we're all talking about the same thing. Everybody's energized by the spirit. That's the feeling I love more than anything else. I'm gonna be real. When I get around you, even though we're not the physical vicinity, our minds and spirit have merged, and I love that. And I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you. You can follow us on Overstanding Darkness, Facebook, Overstanding Darkness on YouTube. I already told you coming out next, Cosmic Awareness. Remember that the spirit works through love and you can watch it. It's something that's possible. I do it myself. It's a great feeling. It's a moving thing. It's a connection with you. Like Miss Fee said, stay with yourself, listen to your voice of truth, and you can know all things, not some things, not a few things, not many things. All things that you want to know, you can, and keep striving. Thank you, everyone, and peace.
All right, bye.
Much love, much love.